swing, overhead throw, swing, overhead throw, swing, over, throw, swing, over, throw, swing, over, throw. We're going to look at a shoulder mobility exercise called Mills. I do this exercise myself, but I also show patients. So when you're working with patients, or if you have a compromised shoulder joint, you want to start pretty light. This is a 2-pound club. You might consider a 1-pound club. If you have shoulder problems, you might just consider using the weight of the arm itself and just work on the positioning and the mechanics before adding weight to it. So once you get stronger in this exercise, you can go up in weight. So this is a 3-pound club. I could go up to this 5-pound metal club. This is one I use quite frequently. I also use this 10-pound metal club. 15-pound I just got. It's a little much for me for this exercise, but over time as I get more control, this would be a good weight for me. Another way of increasing weight would be to use the steel mace. So with the mace, you can see that the weight is much farther from the handle, so that's going to create far more leverage. I wouldn't start with the mace until you really have a good understanding of the mechanics of this exercise. So start light, get the mechanics down. The last thing to consider that has to do with weight to some extent is speed. So if I'm swinging this club very quickly in various different positions, that's going to feel like far more weight than a slow swing. So let's look at getting started with this exercise. I'm going to start with the club in front of the opposite side. I want my chest slightly relaxed, slight protraction of the shoulder. Though I'm not sticking my shoulders out, I just have a little bow in the chest and I'm holding. First thing I want to do is I want to open to the side, so I'm doing shoulder external rotation, shoulder blade retraction. So those are terms that a patient wouldn't necessarily understand. So what I highlight is getting the elbow in line with the hands. Let's look at that on the side view. So as I open to the side, I don't want my elbow sitting behind my hand. You can see my shoulder joint is still in internal rotation. I need to pull the elbow in line with the hands, open the chest. So a patient or yourself, you might not have the range of motion for that. That's okay. It might only get to this far, but same thing. I don't want my elbow behind the hand. I want to fully open, line everything up. And this is a position I can just hold and work on building strength because I have to balance the club by getting the elbow under, lining everything up, and hold with that external rotation in place, hold against the weight. Then as I go back towards the opposite side, you can see that the chest relaxes a little bit. My shoulders are in slight protraction. Same thing as I'm holding that weight. So I'm going to come back forward. Open, hold. Close the chest, hold. Open, pull the chest open, hold. Line everything up, forward. So this isn't quite the position we do when we do the full movement. So let's add something to it once we get comfortable with this. Is I'm going to get to that same place, but I'm not going to get to it just by opening, turning out. It's a fine exercise just to warm up. But now what I want to do is I want to drop the weight, swing, open, catch. So I'm in that same position, elbow lined up, but I got there a little differently. Same thing, I'm going to drop the weight, swing, catch. Drop the weight, swing, open the chest, catch. Drop the weight, close the chest, catch. Swing, catch. Swing, catch. Swing, catch. So let's look at the second part. We've worked on swing and catch. That is a really good place just to work on for a while and get the mechanics, feel comfortable, feel strong with that, to where you can do it without the body getting off position. You can feel strong in that position. You can feel supported. You're building strength. Once you've been doing that for a while, though, we've swung, we've gotten to the catch. We're externally rotated, chest is open. Now I'm going to work on casting overhead and casting down. So basically I'm going to, from this position, go up. My shoulder blade goes into upward rotation. I'm stabilizing against this, so I'm not leaning one way or the other. I'm stable. My hand is at the base of the neck. Rib cage is nice and open. And from here, I'm going to start from the rib cage, pulling down, and club back into the position to the side. Cast overhead, stable, hand at the base of the neck, open the rib cage, down. I'm going to do it a little faster just so you can see where you're going with it, but I would stay slow at first and be controlled. So once I get comfortable, I can be more explosive. Over. Either way, it's coming from the rib cage. I want to link my breath so I can down. Cast overhead, hand at the base of the neck. So if you're watching me, my hand should be hidden behind the head, not up here. So I want to open and cast down. Right, part 3, same thing. You might practice part 1 and part 2 for a while before going on. But once you're ready, club is overhead, hand is at the base of the neck. Before I was casting down, but now I'm going to turn and cast to get the club back to the opposite side. I want to do that again from the rib cage, from turning, not necessarily the hips, but the rib cage. Over, open, rib cage starts, shoulder blade follows. Over, open, rib cage starts, shoulder blade follows. Over, open, rib cage starts, shoulder blade follows. So let's work on the full movement. Before we were doing piecemeal, opening one direction, closing, which is a really nice way to work on the mechanics, but now let's do the full movement continuously. So I'm going to swing, catch, cast overhead, throw. Swing, catch, cast overhead, throw. Swing, catch, cast overhead, throw. You can go faster or slower, but I would start slow to get the mechanics and feel comfortable in each position. So for instance, I wouldn't want to swing, catch, not have control of the club, try to throw it over the head and get kind of wild with it and be off center. I'm in danger of damaging my shoulder if I do that. I want to be comfortable in this position. I want to be comfortable in this position. I want to be comfortable in this position. Even there, I was a little off. So take your time, get each step, and get comfortable in those various steps. One last thing for that that'll help with it is the overhead portion. There's a little momentum. So as I come over and I turn, you can see that there's this little swing to the club. So right now, maybe it's at the left shoulder. As I turn, it swings over the right shoulder, and I follow. So we'll stay slow with that. We'll look at using that momentum a little bit more in a moment. But for now, when I turn, I want that club to swing to the opposite shoulder. And by that, I mean the tip. Up, tip's facing up towards the ceiling. Tip is down, tip swings to the opposite shoulder. Up, tip is facing upwards. Tip down, tip towards the right shoulder, tip up. So I can go slow with that so that when I do speed it up, I can feel that swing and use that swing to my advantage. So we broke down the inside throw. So the inside throw is coming over and in. But we also have the capability, and we should feel comfortable in doing the other direction where we open and throw out. So let's look at that. We'll go through the same steps, but we'll go through them a little bit faster since we've already gone through this mechanic, but it'll be a nice chance to review. So chest slightly in, bowed, shoulders protracted, shoulder joint internal rotation, externally rotate, retract, open the chest. line the elbow up with the hand. Internal rotation, protraction. So I might just use the term bowing the chest or relaxing the chest with patience. So once I get comfortable with that, remember that it was a swing that got us there. So drop the weight of the club, line it up, catch. Drop the weight of the club, line it up, catch. Drop the weight of the club, line it up, catch. Now once I get comfortable with that, I can cast overhead over the same shoulder of the hand that I'm holding the club with. So it's over my right shoulder, stable, open the rib cage, down. Up. I want to use my full center, even the abdominal muscles, to pull down. Up. Pull down. Up. When I'm ready, then I can open, pull down. Swing, catch. Open, pull down. Swing, catch. Overhead, open, pull down. Swing, catch. Over, throw. Same thing, faster, perceived more weight. I want to make sure I have the mechanics for it. So next step, let's look at using some swinging to help us find the momentum. This would be something to start with once you've been doing the first parts for a little while. So final aspect, I want to use the momentum. I want to get used to the momentum of the club. This would definitely be something you do after getting strong in the various positions, getting comfortable in those various positions. This is adding more weight to it because we're adding more speed and more momentum. So first part of this is one you might be able to do right from the get-go, is just the swing. I want to be careful that I don't hit my knee. I should feel like I have plenty of space there. So I'm coming in, internal rotation slightly, out, external rotation. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, shoulder stable, in, shoulder stable, out, shoulder stable. So I'm not throwing way out and getting off center. I'm stable in the shoulder joint, swinging, controlling. Once I get comfortable with that, I can swing up and catch. Swing, overhead, throw. 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 So I can go the other direction also. So in that case, I'm going to start here, over, throw. Swing, over, throw. Swing, over, throw. Swing, over, throw. Swing, over, throw. So changing directions teaches me to decelerate that momentum and change. So again, take your time, work on the mechanics, work on the positions, feel comfortable, feel aligned, supported, and then you can add momentum once you get comfortable with those positions. So we'll look at this exercise now with a steel mace. So this is a 10-pound mace, but again, this 10 pounds is a far different experience if I'm holding this at the base. It's very top heavy. Even just getting into position can be challenging with this because I'll purposely do this. If I let the mace dip forward, oh, it's very difficult then. But dips back, it's very difficult because of the top heaviness. So I really have to work on keeping it balanced and supported. If I go overhead, it's a lot of swinging, a lot of momentum. This is actually a little too much for me to be doing with the mill exercise. There are some two-handed mace exercises that this works pretty well with, but I do have options, and this helps us understand some of the dynamics of using a club. Is if I hold this halfway or somewhere in a different range now, that momentum's far different. I have to contend with a little bit sticking out here, but I'm used to that. But now you can see just even getting in position, not so bad. longer than the club, but I can still swing. A little less control that I have with this, but it's okay. It's kind of good to see bad form because it's something you can learn from. You can see what happens when you're using something that maybe I'm not quite ready for. I should probably stick with, if I'm doing 10 pounds, maybe the 10-pound steel club, but I'm not going to hurt myself. I feel comfortable with this. But I'm just showing it to show that dynamic of how that offset weight really matters. So if I were just using a dumbbell, or if I were to hold here, oh, not such a big difference. But once I get that weight displaced, then all of those movements going overhead and throwing are different because of the fact that I have to balance against that top heavy weight. So something to consider once you gotten stronger with this exercise, but I wouldn't rush into it. Stay with the light weight, stay with the mechanics, stay with the slow speed, start adding more speed once you get comfortable with the mechanics. You can go up with weight from there, and you can consider a different tool like a mace after time.